Welcome to Veteran Resource Podcast, where you will meet nonprofit organizations
Welcome everybody to
focused
episode
on improving the lives of
63 of the
veterans and their
Veteran
family
Resource
members.
Podcast.
Here's your host,
I'm your host, Jeremy Paris. Today for Thought Leader Thursday, we have Michael Rains, who is serving now in the military. He's in the Marines, and he had the idea of creating a mastermind group for non-commissioned officers to share ideas, collaborate, and create stronger, more capable leaders in the military. And I thought that this was an incredible idea that he has, and he's just getting this thing off the ground. But I really want you to listen to what it is he's saying. I know a lot of you listeners out there are still in the military. If you hear what he's saying and it sounds good to you, I really think that you would benefit from starting your own mastermind group if there isn't one where you are currently serving. This can only help you to become better at what you do, and it's going to help everybody around you to advance that much quicker. So without any further ado, let's jump right into the interview. Michael, welcome to the Veteran Resource Podcast. How you doing today?
Not too bad, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. As I understand it, you are coming to me from Japan right now.
That is correct. Mainland Iwakuni, Japan.
So you win the award for the farthest interview that I've conducted to date, I think.
Oh, very grateful for that. Thank you.
I kind of wish I was there with you doing an in-person interview. I think that would be much better. But
it'd be special. Yeah. Beautiful country.
Yeah, it's on my list. I got to get out there for sure.
Definitely.
So let's start off today with just a little bit of introduction about who you are.
All right. Well, let's see. So active duty military right now. United States Marine Corps. Been so for about a little over 7 years now. Gone through a lot of things over the past few years, just as far as personal development goes. And I realized that I really have a passion for trying to bring that to other people. And I think that's the main reason why you and I got hooked up to do this interview. And just because I want to bring some real value to the not only just my fellow military members, but just to the world in general. And so I'm kind of taking it in strides right now and just trying to figure things out and see where I can best fit in, to society and stuff.
And so you said that you've been in for 7 years now.
Yes.
During that time, all of your ideas for what we're going to be talking about in a second with the mastermind and with coaching and everything, did you have those ideas before you came in, or these are all things that just developed during your duty time?
These are things that kind of developed in the past 2 years, honestly, when I first got to Japan, because before that, I was just kind of, going through the motions, just trying to figure things out and just kind of just existing, you could say. And then a few years ago, like when I first got to Japan, I was in the library here on base, and I came upon a book called Spartan Up by Joe DeSena. I don't know if you've ever read of it or heard of it.
I have not, but I've been looking for a new book to start.
Oh, there you go. And I don't know, it kind of set things in motion. Just kind of got me thinking differently about my life and about how I wasn't really intentional about my life. And I came upon other books, and then that's when I discovered podcasts. So I started listening to podcasts like the Order of Man podcast and the Better Dad, Good Dad Project podcast and stuff like that.
Both of them very good, very good.
Yes. And then just more books, more podcasts, and just here I am today, honestly, just as a result of all that.
Yeah, podcasting has really been changing the world in a positive way. It started off, I was listening to them a long time ago, and there was hardly anybody listening to them back when I was listening, I think. And because any time that I would talk to people about, hey, I was checking out this, Internet Business Mastery podcast. Have you heard of it? And people would always look at me strange and say, what's a podcast? and nowadays, at least most people have at least heard of podcasts. They might not listen themselves, but at least they know what it is. And there are, I think, 40,000 podcasts out there now, which has I think it doubled in the last year or something like that. I remember hearing a stat. But yeah, just having that many podcasts out there to choose from. There, I mean, it's very easy to find something that is perfect for what it is that you're looking for. It's something that talks directly to you.
Definitely. And just, I don't know, just as technology continues to grow and then, our commutes get longer, it's just podcasts fit perfectly into our lives because there's so much downtime. And so it's just good for us to have something you just hit play and then you just hear just maybe a conversation between two or three people just about like a deep topic, that's going on. And it kind of gets those thoughts going in your head and get you thinking differently instead of just focusing on what you're doing, at that moment in time. So I think they're really powerful and I think they're here to stay.
Absolutely. It's just going to get bigger. And
Definitely.
obviously I'm going all in with podcasting.
Yes. Tell me about your schedule that you have coming up for this new season.
This is going to be
pretty busy.
a great season. 5 episodes a week, coming from 1 episode that I was doing. Going to be pretty busy for sure.
Oh yeah.
So you were listening to podcasts, you got super motivated, you started to learn a whole lot. And then in the last 2 years, you kind of discovered that you were really good at motivating others. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of a play on my leadership style. I'm more, I want to say I'm more reserved. And I guess I try to be more of a mentor in that aspect. And I think just what I've learned from the podcast and stuff like that have really played into that. And then I got into mastermind groups. I'm in 2 of them right now. And those kind of pushed me over the edge just because of the conversations I was having with other people and just hearing about their experiences and just being able to give feedback. Like even I'm 26 years old and like there's guys that are like 40 something years old and I'm giving these guys advice on their life and they're actually listening to it and saying, oh, I never really thought about that way. And just, experiences like that really kind of motivate you to want to do more. And then, as I said, it got me looking at other military members differently, observing how people were living their lives and how they were carrying themselves and their whole demeanor and stuff. And I'm saying, like, I think I might be able to actually reach these people and actually help them along or at least give them some direction because there's so many people walking around as if they're just living on accident. They're not really intentional about anything. They're kind of going through the motions, And I want people to understand, definitely. And I want people to understand, like, there's a life when you're going to take the uniform off someday, and there's a life outside of that. So I want to be able to just try to push someone to work towards something. So when they decide to get out, or if they decide to stay in, whatever, they'll have something to fall back on instead of just an average existence.
Well, I'm all about exactly what you just said, where I think that veterans are getting out of the military. I know I got out of the military, and I was looking at, okay, well, I've got some skills, but I had 0 direction. I had 0 purpose. I got out and I took the first job that came my way, and it was in government contracting. And I said, yeah, I'll do this for 2 years and, then I'll get out of it and, do something else. And for 16 years, I've been doing government contracting. I'm just finally now getting out of it. And I have never been passionate about it. It's just something that it was a good job. And I look at like those 16 years and what if I was doing something that I was really passionate about, what I'm doing now with veterans. If I was doing that for the last 16 years, where would I be now? What would be different about my life? And how many more people would I have reached and helped? And, I think that transitioning veterans now, if they don't have a plan, they need to get a plan.
Definitely. Just like, while you're in right now, start to build that foundation, start to get these, find some other people like your peers and stuff like that, and just start having these conversations because people are just afraid to have deep conversations. I'm not sure what it is, but have those conversations, find out what you want to do with your life and start building that foundation now. You don't have to make these dramatic decisions, these, life-changing decisions in your life. Just kind of find out what you want, start to build that foundation little by little, and then you'll be so much better off when you decide to get out, if you decide to get out.
Absolutely. And even for the people that stay in, I mean, they go all the way through retirement. And how many times, I know, here's a great example. When I was stationed in Alaska, there was a sergeant major that got out, and I used to go bowling every day during lunch, and I would bowl 10 games by myself because I think they were like a quarter or 50 cents or something
Wow.
ridiculous like that during lunch. So I would go and I would just, get in all of the cheap games that I could and go and bowl. But while I was there, I saw the sergeant major that had just retired, and I walked in there one day, and he is the one that handed me my shoes. And I was thinking, like, this is the guy that, I mean, everybody was looking up to. Everybody was respecting as the person who had all of the answers. He had all of the experience, and but I don't know what his story was. If that was just something he was trying to kill time, or he really liked bowling, or what the deal was. But I don't know. For some reason, I pictured him, going and doing something else after retirement, and he was handing me bowling shoes.
That's so crazy. It's the most senior enlisted guy in the military, man.
Yep.
With all that experience and stuff.
So you got into some mastermind groups. I'm loving this story here. What was it about the mastermind groups that really got you?
Well, to admit, when I first got into the groups, I kind of paid my money to get into them, and then I wasn't very active though. I was just kind of like that guy who would just scroll through the posts and see what people are going through, and like a few posts here and there. But something, I don't know what it was, but something just hit me and said, "Man, you gotta get more intentional. Like, you're paying for this. You have something vested into this, so you got to put into it more." And that's when I don't know, just some kind of fire lit under me. And so I'd show up to as many calls as I can. Um, I post as often as I can. I try to give advice as much as I can. And then from there, I just, I don't know, something just really motivated me. I got more out of the mastermind groups, and I benefited more from it. And I created a better relationship with the guys that were in those groups. And just something about it said, like, man, I think my fellow NCOs could really benefit from something like this. I've never heard of an NCO mastermind group. I've never heard of, outside of like the NCO Association, but it's kind of like one of those things that where Marines hear about it and they want to do it because it's affiliated with the military. You try to get
Right.
away from the military as much as you can, and so it just gave me an idea. Like, maybe maybe I'll have something to give back to my fellow NCOs, and just that's where I got the idea for the NCO mastermind. Just, I'm still putting together the framework for it, but I'm thinking maybe just 4 weeks, where we get together once or twice a week, and give maybe a PowerPoint presentation on just different aspects of leadership. I've already reached out to a few people that I know. I'm just having them do questionnaires for it, just to kind of get their perspective and where they are right now as far as being a leader goes. And yeah, like I said, I'm just building the framework for it, but that's kind of where that idea sparked from, was just being in these two mastermind groups and seeing the real benefit from it. I've seen guys just make complete 180s on their lives. They've gotten so much insight. They've gained so much, and I'm really experiencing other people's lives, and it's a powerful thing.
Yeah, absolutely is. Absolutely is. I jumped into a couple of them when I first got started. In fact, when I started this podcast, I did not know how to podcast. I knew that I liked the technology. I was listening to podcasts myself on a regular basis, but I didn't know how to podcast. I didn't own a microphone. I didn't have any of the technology that you need, and zero of the know-how. And I jumped in and said, well, I'll get a couple books on it. And I figured, like, I wanted to get the word out to veterans about the nonprofits that were out there. And I thought this was a great way to do it. Now let me figure out how to do it. And the books, while they gave me the here's how to do it step by step,
Yeah.
it didn't get me to where I needed to be. And it wasn't until I joined Podcasters Paradise with John Lee Dumas, who's also a veteran. His group not only gave you all of the lessons for here's how to podcast, but it also had the mastermind. And you were able to jump in there with, thousands of other or thousands of other podcasters and talk about, okay, in the lesson, it tells me to do this, this, and this, but I don't see that button. What's going on? What did I miss? And somebody will jump in there and say, oh, well, you got to press this first, then you'll see the button. And I'm like, oh, that's easy. But it's easy when you have a group of people surrounding you that you can talk about, what these little problems are. But if I was just reading instruction manual or even watching a video on how to do it, I wouldn't have been there. This podcast wouldn't be going on right now. It was, the motivation that I get every day when I jump into the group and, people are saying, hey, you said you were going to launch a month ago. What's going on? How come you haven't launched yet? Oh yeah. Okay. I'm on it. Now I've got somebody that's on my back who, is there in my corner that wants to see me succeed, pushing me. And I really think that it's an amazing idea to pull that into the military in the NCO environment. So I love that you came up with that idea.
Thank you. It's just, I think the most powerful thing is just the focus that's there. Like with your podcasting mastermind, it's just a bunch of people that are focused on a specific goal, becoming great podcasters. And you have, instead of just a book where you're just learning from one person, maybe two authors, you've got literally hundreds of mistakes that other people made to learn from. And it's incredible.
Absolutely is. And the other good thing about it is the connections that you made. I mean, we met through somebody that was in one of the groups that I was in, said, hey, you need to talk to this guy.
Mm-hmm. Incredible.
Yeah. So for the NCO mastermind, do you already know the types of content that you're going to have in there, or is that all going to be developed through the first group that comes through?
I got a few ideas. Of course, mainly it's gonna be oriented around leadership, just different leadership qualities and stuff, and just I think the most impactful thing will be just from our discussions, just talking about leadership and actually getting people to open up and just really ask those difficult questions about leadership and how to get better, because there's a lot of NCOs these days that have maybe been in the Marine Corps maybe a couple of years and they're already NCOs. So outside of MOS school, they haven't really had a lot of time to really develop themselves as leaders, to really, see where they fit into that role, develop, even figure out what kind of leader they are. And so I think that's where they really benefit from this, is just being able to talk to NCOs that are, on their level and that have maybe been in a little bit longer. And, we can all take and pull from each other, different experiences, stuff like that. So of course, leadership is a big topic. I want to talk about mentoring the junior Marines or the junior enlisted, because mentoring is a big thing. There's a lot of Marines, as I said earlier, there's just a lot of people with no real focus or direction in their lives. And as an NCO, I think it's our responsibility to give the junior enlisted some kind of direction, something to aim for, some kind of goal to strive for, because it's so easy, depending on what job you have in the military, it's so easy to get caught up in the 9-to-5 mindset where you just kind of show up to work and then you do your job and then you get off and then you go do whatever, but they're not really working towards anything. And that's where people start to get depressed and they start to be, disappointed with their military career because they're not working towards anything.
Absolutely. I know that to be true with me. When I was in for 10 years and towards the end of the 10 years, it felt like a 9-to-5 to me. And yep. I felt like, okay, now it's time for me to get out. I'm not able to do the job that I want to do. And unfortunately, I left and went into another 9-to-5 job.
The cycle.
Right. Good lesson there. So do you know how many people you're going to have in the mastermind? Is that already set?
Keeping it small. I'm shooting for 10 right now, just, for the initial one, and it's going to be local here. It's not going to be online or anything. Just 10 NCOs here on base that are interested in checking it out. And we'll see what happens from there. I mean, I'm going to admit that just the whole idea of hosting something like this kind of scares the crap out of me. And, from the books I've read, it means that I have to do it. So
yes, I was going to say that. If this scares you, you're going in the right direction.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, right now, just 10 people, and then we'll see what happens from there.
Awesome. Well, if I can make a recommendation for you, and being in the military now, I'm sure that you're all about this, but while you're doing this first one, put some processes to it. And then if it's successful, like I'm sure that it's going to be, then you'll be able to roll that out to other people, and you'll be able to share this with other NCOs that could take it to other posts and be able to recreate what it is you're doing.
Writing it down right now. Thank you.
Absolutely. So aside from just being an NCO, what type of person do you think is your target for coming into the first group of 10?
There's just so many people that are content with just the status quo. They're content with just being average. They don't want anything more because what they have is comfortable. And that's just a very poisonous, dangerous way to live your life, because something could throw that off. You could lose your job. You could be in the military, you get injured, and
Absolutely.
you have no idea what to do because you weren't really improving. You were just you were coasting for your life. And that's really what I want. I just want people that want to get better, because if I can surround myself with those people and help empower those people, then they'll go out into the world and empower other people that want to get better, but they don't really know how. But then you have these empowered individuals that are there and say, hey, this is what I learned from a mastermind, or hey, this is what I learned just from these deep conversations. And ultimately, I want the Marine Corps to be a better place because I was in it. That's ultimately what I want. I want to leave things. I mean, that's what Marines strive to do anyway. We try to leave that area better than when we found it, And that's just what I want.
Awesome. And you kind of touched on the fact of life coaching, and I know that you have ambitions for not just life coaching, but being a fitness coach as well.
Yes.
What are your plans for those?
Well, currently I'm saving up money for my cert through one of the different companies that offer fitness certifications, and just that stems from because I'm from Norfolk, Virginia. And just thinking about how it was when I was growing up, there was no real nutritional education. There was no one really. People weren't, for the most part, people weren't going to the gym. Everyone was, out of shape and stuff, heart disease left and right. And just over the years, I've become more educated in the negative effects of just a sedentary life. And so I want this cert just so I can have the knowledge and ultimately the confidence to go out there and help people improve their lives, even if it's just one person a year. If I can help change one life, then I think the world would be better off, because then they'll, kind of like with the mastermind, they'll help inspire other people to try to change their lives, because it's just it's a dangerous route that we're going in right now as far as health and fitness go, and I want to play a role in that as well.
Awesome. I completely agree with you too. And I know that the best times mentally in my life where I felt like I had everything together were also the times where I was the fittest, where I was going to the gym on a regular basis, where I was eating the right things, and more importantly than eating the right things, was staying away from the wrong things. And
right.
It's kind of like once you kind of let that go and you start to just go along with what everybody around you is doing, that everything else kind of falls along with that. You start, your mental attitude follows your body, and you end up getting lazy in both. First off, you're probably surrounding yourself with the wrong people, and that comes right back to the mastermind, huh?
Yes, definitely. See, it's just it all builds on each other. So the goals that I have for the world they're all come from the same entity. So it's just steps, I guess.
And now, for the life coaching and fitness coaching, is that going to be used inside the military as well, or are you looking to take that outside of the military and help civilians as well?
I'm looking to take that outside the military. I'm using my time in the military and just the things that I'm learning now to help build the foundation, because right now, like, I think about becoming a life coach, and again, it scares me because I'm not very confident in it, because it always kind of comes back to the thought, like, what do I have to give to the world? So just the fact that question is in the back of my mind means I need to work harder now. It means I need to put myself in these awkward situations, have these conversations with complete strangers, delve deeper into masterminds, personal development, just really build myself up to be a more capable coach for individuals outside the military. And I don't know, right now I'm kind of thinking about getting out of the military and just kind of taking this strictly out in the civilian world. But as of right now, I'm in, and I want to do everything I can while I'm in.
Awesome. Yeah, I really think with the fitness coaching, there's lots of people that you could be helping with that. With life coaching, also so many more people that you could be helping on a regular basis. And I think that those could be used inside the military and outside the military. So I think you're really touching on something that can help improve everything around you. And so I'm really, really pulling for you to keep moving forward with this. This is going to be great.
Appreciate it. Maybe I can become a government contractor. Who knows?
Do you have any plans for being a podcaster?
That thought came up, but again, like I don't know if I would have enough to fill enough episodes to get people to actually care, if that makes sense. There's no real scope for it, I guess. Yeah.
What's interesting about you is that you're the only you out there. So, you say you don't know what you have to offer, but the stories and the things that you've learned, and like you and I could read the same book, and you'll take something different out of that book than I will. And, one way is not better than the other, but when I'm telling somebody about this book I read, they might not really want to read the book after I get done telling them about it because of the things that I've taken away from it. Whereas you might be able to take that same book that you read and tell them about it, and they would be all about it. So what you have to offer to the world in fitness and in life coaching and with your mastermind is you, and nobody else has that.
Man, I guess I'll get into podcasting now. But I really appreciate hearing that. That's really reassuring, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you ever do, let me know, and I can point you in all of the right directions for sure.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
So if anybody out there is listening, they're in the military, they're thinking about, hey, maybe I want to do a mastermind group too, and they want to talk to you about it, how can they get in contact with you?
Well, it's 2016, so you could just look me up on Facebook. Michael Rains. Rains is spelled Romeo, Alpha, India, November, Sierra. And, just shoot me a message, and then we can get on the Skype call or whatever, and we can go from there. Like I said, I'm building the framework right now. I've got the vision for it, which is the most important part. Now it's just got to put it to action. And so if you guys want to get with me, and then we'll bounce ideas off of each other and make it something great, something that'll last, and something that will impact the world, hopefully.
Outstanding. Would you like to leave any parting pieces of advice for the listeners?
Yes. I guess one big thing that held me back over the years was just that the notion that you have to have some incredible story to make a difference. Because I take in the lessons from other people, and a lot of people, they either come from privilege or they come from extreme hardship. And either way, they have an incredible story. Like there's always something dramatic that happened in their lives that they had to bounce back from, and that's what made them so captivating. You don't have to have this big elaborate story. As long as you have a genuine interest in making a difference, that's all you need. You don't have to have this crazy story that you would see on like Lifetime or something like that. You don't need that. All you need is just a vision and a passion. And most importantly, you just need that action you need that drive to put it into action. And that's it.
Love that. And I love that you mentioned action there too, because you can have that passion and that drive, but if you just sit on it and do nothing with it, then it won't turn into anything. So
exactly.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, Michael, for being on the show. And I know that there's some listeners out there that are military. They're hearing this and they're now thinking, maybe I could be doing this where I am too. So yes. I thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing that.
I'm really grateful for you to have me on the show. And like, this is another thing that kind of scared the crap out of me about being on this, but I'm really glad we did it. And I really got some good pieces of advice from you. So thank you.
Absolutely. And I'm sure this is the first of many podcasts that you'll be on.
Ooh, hope so.
All right, Michael, you have a great night.
You have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you so much for listening to episode 63. I hope you enjoyed it. I know that not everybody out there listening is currently in the military, but you can take what Michael has said in this episode and apply it outside of the military also. So if you are currently, a carpenter, then you can start a mastermind group with other carpenters to talk about how you all can advance and be better and get to the next level together as a team instead of trying to do everything yourself. Because the great thing about mastermind groups is that everybody brings something to the table, and something that you are sitting on, some knowledge that you are sitting on that you think is just common knowledge might not be common knowledge to somebody else. And when you are able to give that information freely to the other people in your group, they're going to grow from it, and you're going to grow from the things that they're giving as well. So look for different opportunities for finding mastermind groups that are already existing out there. There's tons of them on the internet, or start your own. You can start one locally in the community. Thank you so much for listening. Head on over to the show notes page at veteranresourcepodcast.com/063, and you can find more information about Michael and get to the Facebook page. And while you're there, at the top, you're going to see a yellow banner for the newsletter. And I invite you to just throw your email address in there, click join, and then you're going to start getting the newsletter every Friday is when I'm putting them out. And I'm going to be giving information that you might have missed. I'll be putting out new information that only people that are on the list are going to be getting. So make sure you go ahead and put your email address in there and get plugged in. That's all I have for you today. I'll see you tomorrow for Friday's episode.